just cut the roof off the hatch and welded it onto the.
This shit looks
onto
so
the,
good.
See,
why can't y'all do that more? Stop wrapping your cars.
Like, style is real important to us. It's what brought me to drifting. When drifting first like came to the States, it kind of had like a weird, almost like negative connotation to it. People were just like, "Oh, you're just driving reckless."
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of matte paint jobs whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Like, I hate it. Any car, it doesn't matter.
I was in like church parking lots, like trying not to get caught, and there were these big light poles, and I would like try and like figure 8 in between the light poles.
I want to see more style events come up.
Yeah.
I want more style stuff.
Like, I want to see more comps, not necessarily like have a horsepower cap, but that are geared towards cars with 400-ish horsepower, 500-ish horsepower, because that's all you need. Like, I recommend 350Zs a lot. Just go buy a 350Z.
Look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been.
Welcome back to the #1 Drift Podcast on YouTube. I am Dawson, and we have today
Chase Garrett.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe. So look below the video. If that button is still red, go ahead and click it and hit that bell notification while you're at it so you never miss an episode. But of course, if you do want to be on the podcast, whether you feel like you're a big or small guy, it doesn't matter. Email me at thecircleofdrift@gmail.com. Just make sure to put the subject as drift resume so I can organize it. But other than that, if you want to be the highlight of the outro, go ahead and make a reel of your car or something like that. Tag me in it, and the one with the most likes at the end of the week gets the highlight. But that's all I got for the intro. That was a little bit longer. I apologize. But if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, tell us who you are, where you came from, stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah. My name's Chase Garrett. My Instagram is FC Pilot. I should probably change that because people in person are like, "Are you FC Pilot?"
Dude, I'll say this right now. And anyone out there, if you're aspiring to do anything on social media, never use your car as your Instagram name. You're locked in from then on. You can't ever change cars. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would change that.
Yeah. Chase Garrett. I'm from Texas originally, but I now live in Utah. I've been living in Utah for, I think, like 12 years. And yeah, been drifting for about 12, 13 years now. Driving Rx7 FC. Grew up on S chassis, switched over to FCs. I like them a lot. And yeah.
Don't often see that going from S chassis to FC.
Yeah. S chassis guys are like pretty loyal. Like normally they're just like, these are the best cars ever, you know, which they like,
arguably,
I do like they're very like,
I will still say the cars are junk. I don't
well, yeah, but they're very, they're very easy to drive drift cars. Cause they're like, it's like that perfect weight balance, the 50-50, you sit like directly in the center of the car. The pivot point is like right in the center of the car. So like getting them sideways and keeping them sideways, they're real comfortable sideways. Whereas the FC, you're sitting further back toward the rear wheels. The pivot point of the car is moved back toward the rear wheels. So they're a little more like, you have to work a little harder to get it sideways and keep it sideways. So but I don't know. I kind of like it. You kind of almost have to be a little more aggressive with it. But with that being said, I don't know. Like, I feel like an FC would be a harder car to learn with. Like an S chassis is pretty forgiving, you know, when you're learning. That's what I learned on
S chassis is like that outdated cheat code.
Yeah, exactly. And 350Z is the new one.
Yeah,
E36s.
exactly.
But
crazy. Yeah. So, all right, then give me like on the FC, what is it that you personally enjoy more than the S chassis? Like, what is it about the car that just?
Well, the styling of the car I really like. Enough. So like and S chassis are cool too. And S chassis,
which one is your favorite? Which S chassis is your favorite?
Well, probably an S15, but S13s, like an S13 hatch, I really like those.
Fair.
Okay. I've had like 6 or 7 S13
I'll always
hatches.
Say the coupes are the best.
Yeah, I never had I like coupes too. I never ended up owning one. I just always, for whatever reason, had hatches. I have had like 6 or 7 of them. And 14s are cool too. But S chassis are really like, they're kind of timeless. Like they still, even to this day, like look pretty modern. Mm-hmm. Whereas like the FC is very like, has a very era specific look. Like it looks like a car from the 80s or 90s.
The
you know what I mean?
86 vibe.
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
every other car from the 80s did.
Like hard, like real aggressive lines, the pop-up lights, all that. And so I like the look of them a lot. It reminds me of like Gundam Wing, like a Gundam.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like it's
I was never really into that, but
but they're just real. They're more aggressive looking, I guess, than S13s. I think like the body lines. They're not as like smooth and flowy. They're real like super hard lines,
sharp and to the point.
Exactly.
No, FCs. I personally love the FCs more than the FDs. God, y'all are gonna hate me.
That's gonna be a clip.
Jesus, yeah, like I love FDs. Don't get me wrong, but the FC has just always hit it on the mark for me as far as body style goes. It just looks better.
Yeah, they're cool. Like FDs are cool too, but again, FDs really flowy, like you know, like body lines, and FC is like super aggressive. Yeah, I can see that.
It's a stretched out Miata.
Yeah, kinda.
Oh yeah,
but yeah.
Well, give me a little rundown on the FC then. Like what all is done to it.
Where
was it?
Yeah, so my FC's it's kind of a Frankenstein car. So it started life as a convertible. And when I got it, FCs were super cheap. I want to say I paid $1,500 for it. And it was like running and driving, pretty nice convertible. But somewhere online, I think it was like on Rx7 Club, I saw a rendering of an FC Coupe. And I was like, that's cool. And so I think that same year I went to Import Face Off in Vegas, and I met this guy, Joel, who had built an FC Coupe, and he had his FC Coupe there. And I was like, you know, like in awe of it. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, you know, and his car is really nice too. And so I talked to him, and he was like, yeah, man, you should build one. They're cool. Like, it's really not that hard. And so he kind of gave me the rundown of the process. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And so, yeah, we cut the roof off of, I bought another FC shell for like, I don't remember, like $300 back when they were super cheap, you know?
Rusted out crap on the bottom.
And so we just cut the roof off. So you cut the roof off, and then you take the doors from the hatch as well. And the doors bolt right up. And you got to do some, you know, measuring for the roof and stuff. But the windshield frame is all the same. So yeah, we just cut the roof off the hatch and welded it onto the
good.
Convertible. Yeah, and it looks super cool. I don't know why they didn't make them from the factory. Like the S13s, they had the hatch and the coupe. Yeah, why didn't they do that with the FCs?
Just take the roof from the fucking the hatch, throw it on there real quick, make a coupe.
Yeah,
extra money,
and it looks super cool. So we did the coupe conversion. In my car, I left the rotary unit for I think like 3 or 4 years and drifted with
just
that.
NA?
Yeah.
Okay. Good old 100 horsepower.
Yeah, and it was fun. Like it's enough to, you know, have fun. It's, you know, you got to work to keep it in drift and stuff, but
left leg's killing you.
Yeah, and keep the momentum up. But yeah, so we had that for a while, and then the coolant seals went. And really, that's probably just my negligence because like I didn't really know anything back then. Like when I made the switch from S chassis to FCs, like I was hesitant because like I had always wanted an FC because I like the way they look. But I was always hesitant because I was like, I don't know anything about rotaries. Yeah. And so I didn't do it for a long time. And then when I got rid of the last S13 I had, I was like, man, like I want an FC. And so I ended up doing it anyway. The rotary is fun. Coolant seals blue. So I put a 5.0 302 out of a Fox Body Mustang in it. Okay. And I had that for like a couple years and then kind of just wanted more power. So eventually went with the LS, and the internet's going to fry me for that because everybody hates on LS FCs. But if you haven't driven one, they're a lot of fun. Yeah. Like I put the LS in it, and after driving with it for a while, I was like, man, why didn't I do this like years ago? This is awesome.
I had a kid from up north come on that had an LS in his FC.
Yeah.
And hate it or love it, it works.
Yeah.
Like
it's fun.
You can't ever beat it. So tell me what all's done to the LS then.
So it's pretty basic. Yeah, it's a 5.3 out of like a Tahoe. Nice. And we did a bigger cam. It's just a comp cam. I'm trying to remember. I think it's just called their like NSR drift cam. So it's just like a high RPM cam. Yeah. And then we did dual valve springs, some ARP hardware. And then that's pretty much it. And then it's just all factory LS1 stuff. So factory LS1 heads, LS1 intake, front drive
Dude,
accessories.
I feel like it's just deja vu. It's like, dude, it's the go-to plan
it's the recipe.
for an LS.
Yeah, it's a good recipe.
Yeah.
And it's fairly cheap, easy to do, and it works. The one thing that's weird and kind of cool about the LSs is like all of the accessory hardware, like it's all the same bolts. So like when you're, and it's funny because it's like I kind of feel like a redneck when we're building them, because it's like you can just take all the bolts out and like toss them in a bucket.
Everything goes in a bin.
Yeah, and then it's when you're putting it back together, just like take it out of the bucket, and like it's so weird because I'm used to,
the Z's are kind of the same way.
Really?
There's a lot of the same exact bolts all the way around the car.
That's nice.
So I just do the same shit.
I feel like a lot of Japanese stuff, the older Japanese stuff, like the rotary stuff and like S chassis stuff, everything's different bolts. So like you got to be very aware of like, okay, this is for the water pump, this is for the whatever.
That's when you really start labeling Ziploc baggies.
Yeah, exactly. So like with the LS, it's just like, oh, toss them in the bucket, and so it's cool. And they're super easy to work on. And they fit in an FC like really well. Like for whatever reason, the FC has like a huge engine bay.
Oh yeah,
which is weird because the rotaries are so small,
fucking tiny. Yeah,
but yeah, the LS is like you have tons of room to work on the sides. I have tons of room up front if I wanted to, add a charger or whatever, or big fans. Yeah, it's got the Taurus fans. That's a cheater fan too. It's like a 5,000 CFM fan from like a Ford Taurus that you can get at the junkyard. So.
Yeah. It's a clutch fan, right? Or is it electric?
No, it's electric.
It's electric. Yeah. Okay. I've heard of people doing that before.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
How big is the fan?
It's like
a 15-inch,
like that big. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
That's what I have on the RB.
Yeah,
just 115.
Yeah,
which is probably a bad idea.
But does it stay cool?
I don't know. Maybe,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, the Taurus fan works great, man. It pulls like, and it does pull a lot of amperage. It's like, I think it's like 40 amps or something. But there's two settings. There's like a low speed and a high speed. But I just have the high speed like wired in to just all the time. Yeah. It's just always on full blast. But yeah, my car stays pretty cool. I never really have issues with it. And then other than that, it's just like Fortunato suspension. The rear end is the factory T2 diff and axles, just welded diff.
There's a lot of issues with the rear ends on those.
I think the NAs everyone says are glass and they don't last very long. But I haven't had any issues with the T2 stuff other than everything's expensive now. Like the diffs and axles are like ridiculous. So like if I break an axle, I'm like, but apparently so Mazda 929 axles, if you get two driver's side Mazda 929 axles, it's like the same as the FC T2 axles. Yeah. Oh. So I haven't tried them yet, but that's my plan. If I break an axle, I'm gonna get some of those.
Well, if any of you have tried it, let us know in the comments if it works.
Some people and I'm actually really curious because some people say you need a spacer, like an axle spacer, but I've heard other people say that you don't. It's like direct bolt on. So I don't. Maybe someone can let us
clarify
if that works.
Let us
know. Yeah.
So how much did the full swap you think cost, like altogether?
I did it pretty cheap. About maybe 10 grand, maybe a little less.
That seems to be about the going rate.
Yeah, the block was like $500. And then
iron block, you said?
Yeah, iron block. Yeah.
Or you said 5.3. So yeah.
Yeah, and then everything else. I'd say about that. And then so it's a T56 trans, which that was actually the bulk of the money. Yeah. From the swap was the.
You haven't had any issues out of that?
No. So I got it.
That's good.
I got it for a super good deal actually. But it was broken. It was like missing reverse. And there was some other issue. I think the little pin in the shifter was like missing or something. But so I got it for pretty cheap. And then just had it rebuilt.
Nice.
And so I ended up spending about the same amount if I would just like bought a new one, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's all rebuilt and so basically brand new.
Like one thing that I've always been curious with is with the amount of like stuff that people go through to rebuild the LS and put all the gaskets and everything on there. How much is a crate engine? Like, wouldn't it just it'd probably be cheaper?
It's close
just to go ahead and buy the crate engine.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what the prices are now for like a LS3 or something. It's probably around $7,000 or $8,000. And then, you know, you can go up if the crazier you get. But yeah, I want to say it's maybe like $8,000 for a crate engine. So that plus a T56, it's pretty dang close.
Yeah.
So yeah. I should have just done that. Dang.
I mean, the more I talk to people, it's like you might as well just spend the extra money.
It just seems less expensive at first because you're like, oh, it's only $500 for a for
Yeah, but how many more years is it going to last you?
Yeah, who knows?
Thing. So it's like, and especially with the S550s and stuff now, dude, unreal.
Yeah.
And the S650 topping it off with the drift button and shit.
There's so many good drift chassis now that are like, dude, like back in the day, like when I first got into drifting, there was like S13s, FCs, and like AE86s.
What year?
And like that's it.
Year range was that?
When I got into drifting?
Yeah.
Probably 04. Well, when I started drifting, I'd say probably 08, but I got into drifting 03, 04-ish.
Okay.
Like, you know, started being interested in it and watching videos
like
and whatever.
Introduced.
Yeah. But yeah, back then it was like, and then 350Zs, but they were still kind of like pretty expensive because they were pretty new back then.
Odd to see on track.
Yeah,
That's a new car. What
everybody,
are you doing?
Everybody was in S13s, S14s, FCs, and yeah, like some AE86s. Those were still kind of rare too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Guess just buy the crate engine, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's a
or
good
just
choice.
don't go LS. Be cool. Go RB.
Yeah.
So how long have you had that car physically?
About 10 years, 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've had it for a while.
Keeps progressing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like just sticking with a car or a chassis. Like that's why I was with S13s for so long. I liked them a lot, and I was like, well, I don't need a new car. I don't need a new chassis. Like Z's are cool. You know, this and that's cool, but whatever, this is what I got.
Yeah.
So, you know, because a lot of guys now, I see a lot of people like changing, like they'll have one car and then they'll get rid of it and get another car and then get rid of it and get another car. And like, that's cool, I guess, you know, drive a bunch of cars, but
I get too attached.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I just I like this car. It's been with me for 10 years. Like, why would I get rid of it? You know,
oh, baby.
Yeah. That's how I feel about my car, man.
So
so
you said 11 years, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long has the LS physically been in?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still fairly new to it.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do anything like more to it, or is it?
Yeah, I want to do
relatively simple.
And I didn't want to do like a crazy big power setup. Like I really just wanted to drive. Like I just wanted a reliable setup that I could drive all the time, which is basically is what it is. And it dynoed like around 350 to the wheels. It was like 340 something. Which is like plenty of power, plenty of torque. But I want to get it. I think I'm going to do just like a bigger intake and throttle body. I want to just put it like right at 400. Yeah. Like I'm good with that. You know, I feel like that's plenty of power. Pretty much any track I go to, I can shred with 400 horsepower.
Oh yeah.
And so, and I feel like it'll still be pretty reliable. Just 400 horsepower.
Oh, on an LS. Yeah. 400 is perfect.
And I actually have a Pro Charger for it. I just haven't put it on. I got to buy like brackets and stuff. It was like a hand-me-down Pro Charger from my old boss. And
that's cool.
And so I just don't have the bracket stuff. And I need to get an intercooler too. So I don't know, but you know, so that might come in the future. How much do they sell for? Like $5,000, I think, something like that. It's
just sell it and that'll pay for all the intake.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like I think it's like a first gen Pro Charger setup for an LS.
Okay,
so it's a little older, but yeah,
somebody on
they
a
still
budget to buy it.
they still sell for like $4,000 or $5,000. So yeah, I could probably do that too, but I don't know.
For thought, you know?
It's sitting on the shelf at the shop. So like, you know, we'll see what happens, but yeah, but it's been reliable, man. It's I change the oil and like make sure all my fluids are good, and it just rips.
Yeah. Just a good old seat time car.
Yeah,
which can't beat the LS again.
It's the king.
All right. So is that car actually wrapped or is it sprayed?
No, it's painted. But the livery is vinyl.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I painted it. It was the first car I actually painted.
Nice.
So it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's Same with the Z.
Yeah. It came out pretty good.
What color is that? Is that like a factory?
No, it's
color?
a Summit Racing color. I went on Summit and it's like their little like single stage, and it's super cheap. It's like $100 for a gallon.
Damn.
Yeah, and so that's why I did it, because I was like, dang, this is cool, and it's metallic.
Huh.
And so
How much is their white?
Oh, I don't know. Probably the same. I think they're all about the same. It's all like around $100 for a gallon.
Because they're Summit white. Like there's just the normal work truck Summit white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude, so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
the Z, I don't know what it is, but a Z hits different in white.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I like them in black too. I like them in black, white. I don't like them in like...
Black is all right.
I feel like they look weird in red, and that blue that they came in was like... I don't know.
I wasn't a big fan of that blue.
Yeah. But I think they look good in like neutral colors, like white, black. I think they look good in like a gunmetal gray too, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a Z fan though. I love Zs. Like they're cool cars.
They sound horrific, but
yeah, anyway. You can fix that though.
Arguably, I'll say it on every podcast if I have to. VQ is the best V6 on the planet.
Yeah.
Argue me. That. I dare you.
They're solid.
They sound like shit, but every V6 does.
Yeah, that's true. They're solid.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But so the paint though.
Yeah. So yeah, Summit Racing.
It's just a single stage?
Yep, single stage.
Did you put any flake in it or anything?
No, it came metallic, and you just dump it in the gun and spray it. It was super easy.
No clear or nothing.
No. Did it in
savage.
Like a couple hours. It was great.
Dude, see, why can't y'all do that more? Stop wrapping your cars.
Yeah, it's so much easier to paint. Like so funny story, before I painted it, I got some vinyl wrap from a buddy of mine in Salt Lake City, and it was like this pink metallic color, and I was like, that's cool. And he just gave it to me because it was like laying in his shop, and it was definitely enough to wrap the whole car. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just wrap it myself. Cool, no big deal. Dude, I spent like probably 4 hours trying to wrap one fender.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I finally like finished it, and I like stepped back and look at it, and I was like, man, screw this, dude. This was way too much.
I'm not gonna. I kind of like wrapping. It's a fun process to me. Dude, but I love painting. cars more.
Yeah. You see people wrap cars on the internet, and they make it look so easy, and then you try and do it, and like maybe if you had a couple people helping you, it'd probably go by a little. You have to
have really good vinyl.
That's it too.
You
like,
have
but dude, I was just like struggling, and I was like, no way I can do the whole. It's gonna take me like a month to do the whole car. Like, fuck this, you know? And so, yeah, I scrapped that plan pretty much immediately. After that one fender, I was like, nope. Yeah. Peeled it off. I was like, eh.
The work to satisfaction scale is just way more satisfaction when you're painting a car.
Yeah.
Yes. Even if it turns out like, very orange peely or whatever. Yeah. It's like, this is still cool. It's real paint. But it doesn't just peel off.
And like mine came out pretty good. There wasn't like much orange peel or anything, but there's one spot that's like a pretty big imperfection because it was on the trunk. I was spraying the trunk, and some water like dripped out of the hose, and I didn't notice it. And I came back over it, and then like after the fact, I was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh no!" And so anyway, I just left it, but you can't tell. Like if you look at close, you can tell. But in pictures and from 5 feet away, it looks great. And I like the color. The color's really cool. It's like our little like team. Well, actually, I'm the oddball. I painted my car the wrong orange. But it's like the better orange. My boys are gonna hate me for that. But theirs is like a habanero. It's actually a Prius color, so it's like a pearl habanero paint. Oh. And I did mine the Summit metallic orange because I wanted metallic. And to be honest, I thought it was going to be a little closer to that color, but it's not. It's way darker. It's like more of like a burnt orange almost. And theirs is like a traffic cone,
like a highlighter orange. Almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's a little bit different, but whatever. Same thing.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about the team then. When did the team start originally?
When did we start? Probably. So I moved to Utah in like 2010 or 2011, somewhere around there. Had my FC. Met one of my buddies who also had an FC. That's how we met. He was like, "Hey, I got an Rx7 too. We should kick it, like whatever." And so we were working on the FCs together. And we ended up going to Vegas drift events like all the time, like because Vegas was like the closest track. It was like we're like an hour and a half from Vegas.
Yeah.
And so we would go to events all the time. And it kind of got to the point where it's like, why don't we just we should just go together because we're always going basically together. And so we just kind of like, we were like, we should be like a little team, you know, or whatever. And then, another driver that we met from Vegas that we were really close with, just kind of, we all started hanging out and doing things together and going to events together. So it kind of just like, I don't know, organically formed, you know, the team. And then we were like, we should, you know, figure out a name. And like, I don't even remember who said it. But we were just tossing name ideas around, and like Scoundrels like stuck out, and it was like, hey, yeah, that's cool. We're the Scoundrels, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and then we just kind of went with that. I made like a little logo, and we started like selling shirts and like stickers and stuff. And yeah, and then
have y'all made a like an LLC for
this
stuff?
Okay, we have cool. Scoundrels Motorsports. Yeah. Which is what the
I
drift
tell people
school
all that all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get into drifting, try and start an LLC with it. Just sell a couple t-shirts, dude. Easy. Your whole car is marketing.
Yeah.
You get to write everything off.
So that's what the drift school operates under, is Scoundrels Motorsports.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same. But yeah, and then we kind of decided actually pretty recently to paint our cars this like a similar color and do a matching livery. Because for a while our cars, we didn't really look like a team. They were just all different colors. They were, you know, it was different. And we really like the Japanese style, like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but Japanese drifting has a very specific style.
Oh yeah.
And so like I always watched Team Orange growing up because they were like a big Japanese team back in the day. And so we decided on orange, and then we wanted to do like matching liveries and stuff. So we did that. But yeah, the Japanese, we like, style is real important to us. Because like it's honestly it's what like brought me to drifting. Yeah. Like like before YouTube and all that, when I was a kid, I would like download videos on like Kazaa and LimeWire. Of like, I would type in like Toyota Supra JDM or whatever,
with all the viruses.
Yeah, and you'd wait like 4 hours, and then you have like a 30-second video of like a Supra drifting, you know? And so, and I always like, drift cars have like a very unique style. And even still to this day, like you see a drift car, and you can pretty easily recognize that's a drift car, right? Like usually like aggressive wheel fitment, aggressive body kits, sometimes big wings, cool paint, they have a very unique style. And so that's kind of really what brought me into drifting, is because I kept getting videos of these drift cars. Yeah. And I'm like, they look different than just like a street car or like a time attack car or whatever. And I really, really liked the style. So as a team, we kind of try to emulate that drift style, if that makes sense, you know?
That old Ebisu grassroots style.
Yeah. And now, like, and even with like the popularization of liveries now, like that's a very like drift car thing now too. Like you don't see, like, the liveries are very unique to drifting, you know? Yeah. Like you don't really see other forms of motorsport adopting these like crazy cool like liveries.
Yeah,
like
it's all very basic liveries, so that if something breaks, it's easy to put it back together and it still looks appropriate, stuff like that. Yep. Yeah, I had did you see Bayrad's episode a while back? I had him on.
I don't think so.
And his team is Anti-Heroes. Team Anti-Heroes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Dude, they fucking kill it.
Yeah.
I love their style.
It's
so good.
We drove with them in Oregon a long time ago. It was before all of their cars were like matching. Yeah. But they were still like driving together and stuff. We went to, it's actually one of my favorite tracks. Back then it was Jackson County Sports Park, but now it's Affinity Circuit in Oregon. Okay. But we went to like a couple of the Bash to the Future events, and they were up there, and I think I can't remember if they won Team Tandem or they did like really well, because they jam, dude. Like they drive really well.
They get down.
Yeah. And I don't remember if they won first or not, but they did really well, and we were like, dude, those guys are jamming. Like it was cool to see. They've been a team for a lot longer than we have, because when we went to that event, it was, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I don't remember what number. I think it was like 7 or maybe before that. But anyway, they had been driving together for a long time, and that was our first kind of like event as like a team. So that was like cool to see, and it's like inspirational, you know. It's like, dude, we need to get to that level, because it's cool.
That's what we need.
Yeah, they were jamming.
Oh yeah. Well, what was some other tracks out there that are normally the best for, say, beginners?
Oh man, for beginners, parking lots are best for beginners.
Well, yeah, but there's no figure 8 tracks out there that host beginner days or anything like that.
No, so
some stuff out in like Texas area, but
yeah, so in Texas when I got into drifting, there really wasn't much. There was events at Mineral Wells Airport, which was just a big paved area. And I went to a couple of those, but I moved out of Texas pretty quick after I got into drifting. So I did some stuff in Florida at Orlando Speed World, and then Vegas was the next track that I started drifting at, and they have a skid pad there.
Very far distance apart.
Yeah, well, so I went to school in Florida and then moved back to Texas.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
And then moved out to Utah, and then started going to the Vegas events because we're in like the very southern tip of Utah. So we're like I said, we're only like an hour and a half from Vegas. So they have a skid pad in Vegas. Salt Lake City has events with a skid pad as well. And yeah, around us, that's pretty much it. And then our school, obviously, but but that's pretty much it. But we've been for a while, like I think in like 2015, 2016, we were traveling all over the place, man. We went to New Mexico, to No Coast. We went to Hot August Nights in Reno. We went to Bash of the Future in Oregon. We went to Apple Valley Speedway in California, which that's a really fun track too.
I want to try there. It's
fun, dude. It's like my probably top 3.
Beautiful.
Like Affinity in Oregon, Apple Valley, and I don't know. Vegas road course is really fun too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Apple Valley's it's cool.
If you had to pick out one of those to be the best on, let's say, just the West Coast, which one would it be?
I don't know, man. It's a close battle between Apple Valley and Affinity Motorsports.
Yeah.
But they're very similar. It's like a big entry, big sweeper, and then it's a tight course. I don't know. I want to say probably Affinity Motorsports Park because it's very similar to Apple Valley, but there's a section on the tight area that's called the roller coaster, and it's just like a little elevation change. So you're like coming in hot, you hit the sweeper, tighten it up, and then you like the next couple corners. There's a small straightaway with an elevation change, so you dip down, and then there's a big like tight corner, and it's really fun to come in super hot.
Hell yeah.
And then like grab e-brake or whatever and like come down the hill. And it's cool.
Hell yeah.
So Apple Valley doesn't have that. It's pretty flat. But Apple Valley's really fun too.
Nice. Okay. Let's see. So what all cars are it's all FCs on your team?
No, so there's 2 FCs. 3. So most of the media that you'll see of our team is me, Blaze, and our buddy JR. And so me and Blaze have FCs. JR has a supercharged 6.0 S13. But we all live in the same town. And then we have another member that lives out in Colorado. His name's Andy. He drives an FC too. And he's kind of like he's a member of the team, but it's just weird because we don't see him as often. Yeah, dude, like we love the dude and we miss him, but like we live so far away, we don't really get to see each other very often. But yeah, he's out there.
You Photoshop him in the picture.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, most of the footage you'll see is like us 3 because we're just always together. We live in the same town.
Yeah.
So yeah, like 3 FCs and a 240.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Are all the engine platforms relatively the same? Y'all all doing LS?
I was the oddball for a while, and I had the 5.0 and the rotary, and everybody was like, "You should do LS." And then I finally did it. But it makes a lot of sense because when we're traveling and stuff, like we have spare parts, and if something breaks,
all you need is an LS tow rig, so you can just pull off of that.
Yeah, we joke about that. I was like, I should just get like a Chevy Silverado and so if something
my buddy
breaks,
literally did that.
Pull race car parts off and put them on the the truck.
He needed one of the filler necks that rises up.
Oh yeah,
spitting oil out of the dipstick.
Just pulled it off the car.
Right, pulled it off the truck, threw it on there, and he was good to go.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I should do that. Then we'd just be all LS everything, bro.
Yeah,
we have a shirt that's on our website that says LS the world. Perfect.
It's so ironic because you're sitting here talking the JDM style.
That's
LS.
Yeah. The motor doesn't matter though, If you saw my car and didn't know it had an LS in it, would you think it had an LS in it?
No, absolutely not. That's my point, though.
I guess, yeah.
Gotcha. No, I'm just kidding.
You need that sound bite. Gotcha, bitch.
Actually, I think I still have it.
I'm a half price hot boy.
Oh, that too.
Gotcha, bitch.
There you go.
Damn, I ain't used those in forever.
That's funny.
But
yeah.
So what do you say is the best part of having a drift team for like just being at events? Like what does it to you is 10 times better than just hanging out with friends?
It's just easier, man. Like it's easier to have people helping you do stuff, you know? So even just like unloading the cars off of a trailer or loading the cars, like someone can guide you on if you need help, if
Make
something
fun
breaks
of you while you're doing
or that too. Yeah. Just the vibes.
You're
like
the slowest motherfucker. Unload your car. Hurry up.
Yeah. Just, you know, like just two heads are better than one kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you break something, you need a spare part, whatever, you got like a team there to help you do things. So yeah, it makes it, and especially in the beginning when we were like first starting to go to events and stuff, it made a super huge difference, like having someone there to also help. So you're not just trying to do everything yourself, like, you know, work on the car, change tires, drive, whatever, you know.
What's one scenario that's happened in the past where like the whole team's just like dropped everything and jumped on it, fixing or whatever it is?
Man, there's a lot of them. One that stands out.
Which one you want?
Yeah, one that stands out is, I don't remember what year it was, but we go to LS Fest West every year because it's in Vegas and yeah, we love that event. But Blaze hit the wall in the like sideshow pit. So we were done drifting for the day. Yeah, and they were doing like the sideshow stuff, and we were like, you should go in there and like show him up, you know? And so he's like doing his thing, and then I don't even remember what happened, but yeah, but he hit the wall and like bent the front. I don't even remember what broke. It's been a while. I think it was like 2015 or something, but broke some stuff. So we, you know, brought him back to the pit, pulled everything apart. We were trying to find someone with a welder that had a welder that we could weld like his knuckle back together. And like, it was just kind of all hands on deck. And we ended up fixing it. And because I think we had to drift the next day too or something, but just stuff like that, you know, it's like I said, like two heads are better than one kind of thing. Like if you got a team of guys that's willing to help you, if anything goes wrong, it's better than just being by yourself and being like, shit.
I'm shit out of luck now.
Yeah.
So I get that.
And just the vibe, and it's fun jamming with your homies, you know, like especially when your cars are pretty similar. You can really you can really throw down like some cool runs, you know.
Oh yeah. Do y'all ever plan on going to Final Bout or anything like that?
We'd like to. It's far, like, oh yeah, you know. But they did one in California at I can't remember if it was Willow Springs or what, but yeah, I'm down. We've talked about it.
That's one of my bucket list goals.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like a bucket list thing. But most of them are like pretty far from us. The California one we could probably do, but yeah, it'd be a trek to get all the way up to Virginia or wherever it's at. And then, man, so we got invited to do the Bloodmasters event a couple years ago, which was like super big honor. I should have brought it with us, but they send out these like invitations that are like, they're super, super cool. It's like a little case with like red wax like splattered all over it that looks like blood, and
like
they
Maker's
seal
Mark
it.
bottle.
Yeah, exactly. And they like stamp it with like a big Bloodmasters like B, and then you open it up.
That's fucking hilarious.
You open it up, and it's like
a Maker's Mark bottle.
Yeah, and it's like this big like letter, and it's like, you've been cordially invited to blah 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 blah, like all this like old school writing. And they send you like
send you a scroll.
Yes, yeah, and seriously. And it's like you have like a pen, awesome. And there's like red ink, and you're supposed to like sign it. like it's like you're signing in blood almost. Like it was a cool invitation. I was like, this is sick. And so we couldn't go
because who thought that out. That's awesome.
It was what a cool, guy. Man. It was, and they're like super OG too. So that was like a cool honor for us to actually even get invited.
Mount this bitch on the wall now.
Yeah, I've got it at home. Like seriously, it's still in the thing, and it was cool, dude. But we couldn't go because it's just like so far.
Yeah.
You know? But that was cool. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to like hit more East Coast events. if we could somehow figure out the budgeting, you know, because fuel right now is crazy. But we all have like tow rigs and trailers and stuff, so we could probably make it happen if we could figure out.
Y'all don't have a YouTube channel? Like
we do, but we don't post very much on it. Yeah, we're just all like, we all have day jobs and like it's just super busy, and especially now with the school. I've been trying to post more stuff about the school, but really I need to hire somebody, like a media guy, to come do stuff.
Oh, like a camera guy?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's literally what I do.
Oh yeah,
that's my job.
I mean, editing too, though. I mean, editing takes like tons of time, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
we can talk about that later.
Okay, cool.
So I've actually noticed, like, on your personal Instagram and stuff, there's a lot of like random builds. And I know you said you work at a shop.
Yeah.
What shop is it, first of all?
So it's called Steve's Hot Rod Garage, and it's the town we live in. It's St. George, Utah, and it's a relatively like small town, but there's a big like hot rod scene there. A lot of old dudes with really big money like hot rods, like. And it's cool, you know, and there's like car shows every weekend. And it's funny because we're kind of slowly starting to like convert them too. Cause like we've had some hot rod guys. Yes. Yeah. Cause you probably remember, like when drifting first like came to the States, it kind of had like a weird, like almost like negative connotation to it. Like people were just like, oh, you're just like driving reckless.
I'll be honest,
like,
bro. I wasn't in drifting then.
Okay.
I'm 25, dude.
Okay. So you're okay.
Like, I was freshy about 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah. So you didn't experience that, I guess. But that's how it was. Like when I first started getting into drifting, people were like what? Like my parents hated it. Like my dad was cool with it. Like he was like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. But like my mom like hated it. She was like, you're just like wasting money, like so burning tires,
you're using your car.
Yeah, all of it. Like, you know, and so, and a lot of people are still kind of like that don't know about drifting, and especially where we're at. Cause like I said, it's a relatively small town, and there's not really, you know, there's no racetrack in town. So there's like the hot rod guys and stuff, but to them, they always kind of thought of that kind of stuff like, well, that's not racing, you know? And like, you guys are just, you know, they think of like, you know, like takeovers kind of almost, you know? And so we're like slowly starting to like show them like, no, this is like a real thing. It's a real motorsport. And we've invited them out to like our little drift clinic days that we do. Mm-hmm. And dude, they see it and they're like, whoa, this is cool. And I've taken some for like rides in my car, and dude, it always like blows their mind. They're just like, like the one guy in particular was like, same thing. Like he was like, oh, it's not racing and this and that. And then I took him for a ride and he got out and he was like, boy, does that get your adrenaline going? And like, he was like, you're cooking through there. And I was like, yeah, we're going pretty fast. And he was like, I didn't realize it was that intense and like all this.
Those are the best.
It was cool. I wish I would have filmed it, dude, because it was so genuine and like, and cool. And he just thought, because I guess like, you know, you can watch videos online and I guess it looks, you know, in some cases like we're going like pretty slow, like we're just kind of doing like a rolling burnout. Mm-hmm. But when you're in the car, it's like you realize how fast you're going. And same thing, like seeing it in person, they're like, oh shit, like you guys are cooking, you know? Yeah. So it's cool. So I work at a hot rod shop. I do like all of the front of house stuff. So I handle like the billing and scheduling and like stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I see a lot of like really cool cars come in, like, you know, old Corvettes and, you know, Mercedes SL Gull Wings that are like, dude, super I saw like rare.
A mobbed out Monte Carlo or something.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff.
Continental, whatever the fuck it was.
Cadillacs on air ride, like there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a big hot rod culture down there. So a lot of the stuff I'll post.
What's
like,
one
cool
of the
cars.
most like unique builds you've seen come through?
Well, there's, I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm sure that's a hard one.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. So right now we've got a 56 Mercedes SL Gullwing that has an LS in it, and it's so cool. It's so cool, dude. Did
you hear that correctly?
It's so cool.
A Gullwing?
There's a video of it on my page, but it's cool,
dude.
But yeah, and then we deal with a lot of Camaros, Mustangs. Another really cool one is like the Shelby Cobras are pretty cool. Yeah. Like not the Mustang version, but the little like roadster Cobras. Those are cool. We deal with quite a few of those. Trying to think what else that's like wild. Yeah, I don't know. All sorts of stuff. We've got a Ford, or no, it's a, shoot, I don't even remember what kind of truck it is. It's like a GMC or something, but the dude's putting in like a first gen Hemi engine with a big, huge blower on it, and it's massive. I think there's a video on my page of it, but like the valve covers are like this big and like that wide. It's nuts, Christ. Dude. So yeah, there's a lot of random cool stuff that comes through. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of hot rods.
How long has that shop been open?
I think he's been there for a while. I think like 15 years or something like that, 15, 20 years. Okay. So they've been there for a while. It's like a pretty well-known shop in that area. Like we do everything. We can do anything. We can, do.
I was about to say,
swaps,
is it just
paint.
hot rod stuff specifically, or do y'all dabble in Euro stuff or like?
Oh yeah, we don't really do much Euro stuff. It's mainly American stuff. And Steve even told me, he's like, it's cool if you want to bring like your drift guys here and they want work done, because he went to a drift clinic day that we went and he rode with one of our students actually in his BRZ, and it was kind of same thing. He was like, wow, he's like, all I know is, like we were going one direction and then he like does something and we're going the exact opposite direction. Yeah. And I thought we were going to crash and like all this, So he thinks it's cool too. But yeah,
ask him to sponsor you.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Like it's pretty cool.
If you're serious about getting into drifting, let's put your name out there.
True. Yeah.
How else are they gonna know you?
Yeah. But yeah, we've got like a dyno and all that, and we do paint, custom paint, builds, engine swaps, and little stuff too, like tune-ups, oil changes, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, all the hot rod guys, anybody that's got like a classic car in St. George, we've probably worked
paint jobs coming out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of flake, a lot of like, nice flake stuff and
bass boat shit.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. I'm telling you.
Yeah. We haven't done any like lowrider style stuff or anything like that though. Like that stuff's really cool.
Yeah. Where they do like the what is that even called?
I don't know.
Cause it's all like hand done.
I do think we have a guy that can do pinstriping, and I do think it'd be really cool to do some pinstriping on a drift car. Like the old school style.
Some of them done, and it just doesn't suit drifting.
Yeah, it looks weird.
And plus I've personally never really liked pinstriping. I think it looks kind of odd.
Yeah.
Especially if I see it on a newer car now and it's just got the normal pinstriping down the door. I'm like,
it's definitely got to have something, some kind of flair to it, Yeah. But like, I don't know if it would look good on my car, because like I think it would clash with like the livery stuff. But if you had like a clean street car with like some little like pinstriping like accents, I think it would be dope. But I don't know. But I've never seen it. Like I've never seen anybody do that. But I don't know. But yeah.
Well, what's the sickest paint job you've seen come out of there? Because I want to know.
I don't know, man. We did. This is gonna sound really generic, but we did a paint job on a Mustang that was black with like gunmetal stripes. And it came out super cool, like metal flake, gunmetal stripes with like metallic black paint.
Fuck yes.
It was cool.
There was one time, because I used to work in a body shop. It was nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Like, it was just for a dealership. We did arguably very bad work. Anyways, but there was this blue Mustang that we had. I think it was a Mustang. May have been a Corvette. I don't know. But the color, I'm not a fan of matte paint jobs whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not really
like
either.
I hate it on any car. Yeah. It doesn't matter. They just look bad.
It looks like wrap. To be honest, it looks like
plastic dip. Yeah. But anyways, this color, I swear to God, it was like a metallic blue, like navy blue almost. Mm-hmm. But before clear, looked 100 times better than it did after clear. It lost almost. Really? I'd probably say 60% of the flake that was in the paint as soon as you put the clear on, which didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
And a lot of the color, too. It turned more black. I was like, dude, this is crazy.
It looked so good before.
Yeah, it was like, it's perfect.
Huh.
Which is, I hate matte paint jobs. So.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. I don't like plastic dip. I don't like matte black stuff. Like, it just looks, I don't know.
Actually, let me ask you this. So what is one topic that you hear in drifting that is like seems silly to even be a discussion?
Oh man, one topic. I don't know what other people do with their cars, I guess. Like
That's
you know?
fair.
Like, it don't matter. Like, are they out there having fun driving? Like, that's all that really matters. You know? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not
Nothing
sure.
specific around the West Coast that you see, because like you'll get here like black wheels. I hate black wheels.
Oh
I'll say
yeah,
it all the time. I
yeah.
don't care who
I'm the
says
same way.
anything.
I don't like black wheels at all. I think they look. You just
It's silly as fuck, but it just can't. It gets lost.
Well, it's like I look at it from like a media standpoint, like a picture of a car with black wheels. It just looks like a hovercraft. Like you can't even see the wheels.
Yeah.
You know, it's like where's his wheels?
That's what I mean. It just gets lost.
But I'm very like, you know, going back to like that drift style, like I'm a big fan of like very bright and vibrant drift cars and paint jobs on drift cars because I feel like drift cars should catch your attention. So like I'm not a big fan of like black cars. Like I know I said I like 350Zs in black, but like for drift cars, like I think black drift cars just like it's fine, but like they don't really do it for me. Like I think a drift car should be bright as hell.
Yeah. It's
and
got to
like
have
really
some
eye
good
catching.
like Jimmy Oaks does it well with his S13, his coupe, because it's a very deep black, like just straight black.
But it has a
he
vibrant
threw those highlighter wheels on it, and it really stands it out.
Yeah, you have to have something that's like eye catching, you know, because you want your car to be recognized on track, at least in my mind, you know. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of like really bright stuff. So like with black wheels, it's like it just I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. So yeah,
just doesn't tickle my fancy.
No, doesn't tickle your pickle.
I was just refraining from that one.
Sorry.
Well, back to the shop. What was like one of the more complex builds that you had come through? That was like there for fucking ever. And why?
Well, I haven't been there that long. So
I
haven't seen that much like big builds come through. But we have a Carmen Ghia right now. It's not really that crazy of a build. We do a lot of like restoration stuff too.
Okay.
So that thing has been there forever because
y'all do acid baths?
No. We could probably send it off though, but we don't do it like in house. But that car, the Carmen Ghia, has been there forever just because it's really hard to find parts for. And when you do find them, you know, however, like if you find something on eBay,
you finally get it in, and you forget where
you
exactly, were on the build.
Man. And there's actually a lot of cars like that. Like any of the older cars, we worked on a 1946 Studebaker the other day, and same thing. Like you can't find parts for a Studebaker, like from the 40s. Like
good luck,
dude.
When was the last time you even heard of one?
And everything is built out of like wood, and like you know what I mean. Like it's wild, but So yeah, we have a lot of cars that actually have been there for a while because of that. Like it's hard to find parts for them. And most guys like we're pretty pricey. Like we're $125 an hour. And so like most guys when they bring their cars, like they realize it's gonna take a while, and it's probably gonna be a lot of money, right? To have us do like a full build, like it's gonna take like a year, right?
That's crazy.
And it's gonna be a lot of money. So yeah, we do have a lot of cars that we work on for a long period of time. But like we had a Nova. That's actually probably one of the craziest builds that I've seen come through there is a Nova that we did. Same thing, full on restoration, every single thing. And there's videos of it on my page. But yeah, we did custom paint, and it wasn't like a crazy paint job. It was just a really bright red, like almost like a Ferrari
like a candy red almost.
Yeah. And he wanted like everything in the engine chromed, and like it's just like you pop the hood and it's just chrome.
Dude, what is the process? Y'all do the chroming in-house?
No, we send it off. Yeah.
Okay. I'm always curious.
I don't know
what the actual process.
I don't know what the process is either.
Because like that's obviously you're not just spraying it. Yeah, there's no fucking way.
No, I'll have to look it up. I'm curious now that you said that.
If y'all know, let me know in the comments. Or actually, if anyone does it out there, come on the podcast. Email me.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because I want to know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So. But yeah, cool cars, man. There's a lot of cool cars in St. George, but not many.
Chrome wheels for the win.
Yeah,
always.
Chrome wheels and white wheels. I love white wheels.
Dude, actually, speaking of old cars, the FC out there, the people that I got it from. Okay, so it was like I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but the people I got it from was a dad and a son.
Mm-hmm.
And they had just got done doing Miata project. They would like just build cars together as their little hobby.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, let's stick with a Mazda. So they got the Rx7.
Cool.
Once they realized they had a rotary and they had no idea what they were dealing with, that's when they went to sell it. So I'm over there.
Story.
Yeah. Dude, I'm up at like 8 a.m. on Facebook Marketplace, and I see this thing pop up for $1,000. And I'm like, I've got nothing to do today. And I was like, I've got money burning a hole in my pocket. Texted the dude. I was like, I'll be there, truck and trailer, cash in hand, ready to come get this car. No questions asked. And he was like, all right, come on. By the time I get there, he had fucking 40 other people messaging him about this car. It had only been posted for a few hours whenever I saw it. But I get there, and like they have all these builds. The kid's got a rebuilt title Bronco that's fully restored, 90s graphics and shit on it. I'm like, dude. And then his dad's got like a fucking Challenger, old Challengers and shit in there. And like there's trinkets and stuff all over the wall in their shop. And I look back in the corner, it's like covered by shit. There's a fucking Model T.
Yeah.
Like genuine Model T in fairly pristine condition, just sitting in the corner, stockpiled with a bunch of shit all over it. I was like, whoa, wait, what is this? Where did you get this? What happened? He was like, well, truthfully, it's like an heirloom. It just keeps getting passed down. And I was
That's
like,
cool.
Keep this motherfucker forever.
Yeah.
Use it as a bench in the shop, and that's it.
Yeah. We've done some like T-bucket builds. I drove one the other day. It was a customer car. And we were doing some repair work on it, but it's like a blown 350 Chevy in like a T-bucket. And I don't know if you ever sat in one of those, but they're like, dude, they're death traps, dude. There's no seat belts. The brakes usually suck. And this one had like 600 horsepower. It's like blown. You'd stop on the gas and you're like, whoa, like, oh geez. And I'm like trying to turn.
Feel like the car's like twisting itself.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. I was like, this is a death trap, dude. Like this thing's like nuts. But like some old dude just drives it around like nothing, man. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, it's wild.
Hell yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I didn't have anything else on that. Okay, no. Well, we're gonna branch off into the drift school finally.
Cool.
So give me a rundown on the drift school, why you started it, what it's there for, what it's been doing recently, stuff like that.
Well, why I started it. So that's kind of a multi-layered question. I started it honestly kind of selfishly because I wanted a place for me and the team to be able to practice locally. And I didn't originally have the idea for like a school, but I wanted to find a location where we could go locally to practice and eventually hold like drift events. I wanted to bring drift events to St. George because like Vegas isn't too far, but there's a growing community of younger kids in St. George that are into drifting or that want to get into drifting, but they can't go to Vegas. Like they don't have a tow truck and a trailer and all, and they can't drive.
How far
their
was
cars
the drive
over there.
again?
It's like 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
It's not horrible,
it's not
but
bad.
I see the complications.
Yeah, but for younger dudes that are just getting into it, that are like dailying their S13, like they're not going to drive it to Vegas, drift it, and then drive it home. You know.
Yeah.
There's fuel, entry fees. The barrier to entry is a little higher than they're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And so I started looking for locations, and I kind of just started thinking like, I got to a point with my driving where I was kind of like, what do I do now? Like my car's pretty much done. Like there's still little things I can tweak and I can add power and stuff, but like I'm really comfortable in the car. I'm comfortable with my driving. I don't really have a strong desire to like go compete. Mm-hmm. I enjoy doing like fun events and team tandem events and that kind of stuff. So I was kind of in a spot where it's like, well, what do I want to do like in drifting, you know? And I knew that I wanted to in some way give back to the community. And so I was like, well, how can I do that? What's the best way to do that? And I guess in my mind, the best way to do that is to help grow the sport. Mm-hmm. And to help grow the sport, I have to introduce new people to the sport. So I had the idea of why don't we do like a drift school And we can just teach people how to drift and hold little events if I find a space to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it came from. And we ended up finding a space where we're super lucky that these guys like let us do it, because it's so our lot for the school is behind this big warehouse. And there's warehouses on both sides, but it's this giant lot. And I approached the guy about it, the owner. And he was like, honestly, super cool about it, and was like, that's actually really cool. And he was like, is there going to be any, damage to the asphalt or anything like that? Yeah. And I was like, well, there's going to be tire marks. And he was like, I don't really care about tire marks. I was like, okay, cool. But, other than that, no, and we're very, I'm appreciative of all of our students and the people that have come to the drift school, because they're very respectful of the property.
That's good.
Because the owner also rents out sections of the lot for other businesses to use as storage. So there's like semi trucks, there's like a garage door company that has a bunch of equipment there. There's like storage containers. There's all sorts of different businesses on the perimeter of the lot. And so we basically have the center of the lot. So I have to be very selective as far as like track layouts go, to make sure we have enough runoff to where if something happens there, we're not going to smash into someone else's equipment for their business. Right.
Yeah.
And then for brand new drivers, I keep them in the center of the lot, and we do donuts and figure eights like right in the center. So they have plenty of room. But yeah, everybody that's been coming has been super respectful. Like I tell them like, hey, all this other stuff, like don't touch any of it. Try to give yourself enough room when you're coming off the sweeper that you're not like, hitting a cone into somebody's like truck or whatever, So that's been really good. So yeah, we got that. It's been awesome. We've been operating for about a year. It was a year in October. We started last October.
Awesome.
So we've been operating for a year, and it's been sweet, man. Like I originally was hesitant, because for myself, I was like, well, like, do I really have like the credentials to like start a drift school? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a pro FD driver. Yeah. Like, I'm not a pro FD driver. I've never actually like really like won first place in any like competition or whatever. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, like I've been driving for 13 years. Like I feel pretty comfortable with my abilities. And man, I mean, some of the FD drivers have only been driving for a couple years, So I was like, yeah, screw it. Like, I think I'm qualified enough to teach people how to do donuts and figure eights and figure it out.
You're teaching people the basics. You don't have to be a genius to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it's been great. We have some students we have a couple of students that are pretty advanced now, that have been coming to the school since like day one. Like, we opened the doors, they were like, boom, that weekend they were there, and they've been there every day that we've been open since then.
Awesome.
And dude, they are shredding now, and it's super cool to see with everyone. It's super cool to see the progression, because normally like people progress really fast. Like if like after the first day, they've pretty much got the basics. Like, because I guess the difference is like like being able to go mess around, get comfortable in the car, come off track. I'll tell you certain things, go back on track, do it again, come back off track. I'll talk to you some more, go back on track, do it again. And having that like repetition, that back to back to back, and being able to like implement whatever instruction I give or whatever, is like super helpful with the progression, And so it takes people about a day to get the basics. And then the second day, they're like,
they're out there ripping.
It clicks, yeah. And so it's super cool. So most people come out for like a 2-day course.
That's the luxury you have now.
Yeah.
Dude. I was out there winging it by myself.
Yeah, me too.
Then,
I was in like
randomly asking questions.
Yeah. I was in like church parking lots, like trying not to get caught. There was like a church parking lot. There was like a church parking lot over by my friend's house, and there were these big light poles. And I would like try and like figure eight in between the light poles. This was like back in like, I don't know, 2006. But anyway, but yeah, so it's been cool. And we have quite a few students that are pretty loyal, and they come out like every time we do a clinic day.
That's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, it's grown a lot, like more so than I thought it would. So that's been cool. I'm supposed to have lunch with the guy next week after I get back home, but we're looking at a bigger location that's
that was
that's
my
a
next
little
question.
Yeah, it's a little more usable. Like our lot now is fine, but but we're a little constrained. Like I
said, is it more of a track or is it still like a lot?
The new location?
Yeah,
it's still just a big paved area, so it's it's part of an airport. So the town, we have a brand new airport that was built like not too long ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. But the old airport in town, it's actually like a super cool location because the old airport, it's on this plateau, like in the middle of our town. And it was kind of trippy. Like I've taken off there a couple of times, like back in the day. So the planes take off and the runway just like ends and then it's like a cliff. And so the planes like take off like, and just the runway just ends and the plane will kind of dip and then take off. And it's trippy, dude, like taking off. Cause you're like, we're just driving off a cliff and hopefully you got enough lift or whatever, you know? And so
that's sketch.
So yeah, it's on this like plateau in the middle of town. You can see the whole town from up there and there's like mountains in the background. It's super, I really hope we get this location cause it's like super epic. And so there's this big area at the end of the runway that I don't know what they were using it for. Maybe I guess just for planes, but big paved area that connects to the runway. So we could use the runway for like big run ups, like a big sweeper or something. But it's just, it's a super cool location. Damn. So I'm talking to the owner next week, but he seems really into it. Like he's, and it's funny. So I called the company and I talked to just like a sales guy. And he's like, oh, yeah, you need to talk to so-and-so, the owner. He has a drift truck. And I was like, what? He has a drift? And I was like, wait. I was like, the owner of your company has a truck that he's building for drifting? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I need to talk to him.
You're not going to believe this, bro. But
yeah. So he seems pretty open to it. But we're going to talk details and stuff next week. But I'm hoping we get it because it'd be a cool move. And then we could actually do events.
Buying in like an old airport would be fucking sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh my God.
And it's huge, man. The runway's huge. Like, I mean, obviously it's but it's a cool area. So hopefully that goes through and we move up there. And then we could do events. We could have spectators because we get a lot of people, like even right now at our lot, that will drive by and like be like, what's going on over there? And then they'll come, they'll like be standing at the gate, like looking,
Yeah.
And so I want to get to a point where we can allow spectators and do ride-alongs and stuff. And then I think it'd be really cool to do like student competitions too. Going back to the Z's, I want to buy a Z, maybe 2 Z's for the school and like set them up exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And then have student competitions in the 2 Z's. Cause I think that'd be cool to showcase, the student's ability and eliminate any like, car setup variables. I think that'd be really cool. And just use them as rental cars if people, because I turn down a lot of people that want to come out, but they don't have a car. Because right now it's just like a bring your own car kind of thing, So we're limited to people that have drift capable cars.
I'm glad that that's becoming more of a thing where people are starting to have cars for rent, especially the Drift HQ, dude. They've got so many cars you can rent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then like Ebisu now has
you can
Side
rent
X
cars.
that has multiple cars you can rent for fairly cheap. Honestly, I was looking at it a few days ago just to like see what the prices were.
Yeah,
it's so cheap.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not sure. I'd have to figure out the pricing, but I wanted to keep it. And that was the thing too. When I started the school, I was like, I don't really care all that much about making money off of it. I just want to like have a place where we can come shred and grow the sport.
Yeah.
So we keep it pretty affordable, because again, like
that seems to be the going mindset for event hosts.
Yeah, yeah.
I have yet to see someone that's realistically in it just to make a profit.
Yeah.
Which I don't think, like Nick Swan said on his podcast, drifting takes care of itself. So if you're if you're here for solely that reason, I think it'll eat you alive anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. You have to, there has to be the passion, and so I think a lot of guys that run events are passionate about drifting. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. Cause like you said, a lot of times you don't really make much money off of it.
Yeah. I think it's because drifting isn't publicized as much yet.
Yeah, it's getting there though. So, it's getting there.
Once it gets up there like NASCAR and stuff, it'll be a little bit more of a headache. But we've got a long ways to go before it's that big.
Formula Drift is helping though. Like I remember when Formula Drift like first came out.
I would argue that Drift Masters is doing
dude.
more.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, I agree.
Sage,
Drift Masters,
all of you, I love you guys. I love Formula Drift.
Drift Masters is, I might get roasted for this, but Drift Masters is much more entertaining than Formula Drift. By far. Not just because they got fireworks shooting off when you're coming around the corner, but
that is why.
Right, you're right.
Like they take the extra steps to add those little tiny details to make sure that just the average normal person can be into it. You don't have to be into drifting or cars in general.
Yeah. We watched it the other day and I was showing her like, look, like this is awesome. Like you come around the corner and there's fireworks and fire and like smoke, like it's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Neon lights and like
you got big jump stunt riders coming out.
It's a production for sure. But the driving is awesome. The cars are awesome. The announcers are awesome. Like they do very well. And even stuff like the LZ World Tour, like that stuff is like super well produced too.
He's changing drifting with in my opinion. I've been talking about that a lot recently, where a lot of these big payout events, they're withering away, and events are going to start branching more towards that and LZ style, where it's a competition, but
it's just
who cares about the competition?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, and what blew my mind was when Nate said that they don't even tell you what you win. Like they give you
that's cool.
Like the gist of it, but like he genuinely thought he won a fucking skateboard deck, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then, ta-da, free trip to Ireland to come drive.
That's
like,
awesome.
Dude, insane. Which, that's obviously at a completely different level than any of us can comprehend.
Yeah.
But I think a lot more event hosts are going to be taking after that.
Yeah. Because it's and you're right, it's doing a lot for the sport. Like, it's helping grow the sport immensely. And, events like that are super cool. And I'm glad they're starting to become more normal, Adam LZ's doing a lot, Drift Masters is doing a lot, Formula Drift is too, for those more more competitive people that want to get into drifting.
It's the white collar of drifting.
That's a good way to put it. But I'm glad that it's becoming more normalized now. And
do you plan on doing any type of comp events or anything like that? Like
sure,
like just I guess the way LZU does it. 'Cause, I mean, it's so perfect. They get done with a run, they come up, they have their little interview and their little talk, and then they do their donuts. Yeah. And then as soon as that's done, the next person's ready to go. Yeah. There's no downtime. Yeah. It's like, dude, that's so good. Yeah. It keeps it so entertaining.
Yeah. I would love to do, so if we get the airport property, I would love to host like local events and, bring guest drivers and stuff like that. But to have like I said, again, do like a student competition where we can highlight, because we have a pretty good roster of students right now. And it would be really cool to like have them do their own comp and, showcase all of that.
Even if it's just a best qualifying run of the day.
Yeah. Or even single runs. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be tandems,
Like, yeah, exactly.
We could just do, like a single drift comp. But
I want to see more style events come up.
I definitely want to do tandems. Yeah.
I want more style stuff. Team tandem competitions. Those are
team tandem events are like,
how can you not smile?
Like Final Bout is epic. And it has been since like day one. It's awesome. And like, and they're doing a lot too. Like I think people are really starting to see that Formula Drift isn't the only direction you can go in drifting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like for a long time, it was like, if you want to get into drifting, you got to go pro and you got to go to Formula Drift, and that's it. Yeah. And now it's like
designated top tier.
Yeah. And now it's like, there are so many things you can do with drifting. You can go do this comp event. You can do this fun event. Drifting's pretty much everywhere now in the States. Like I think drifting is in every state. Maybe not, I don't know about like Maine or whatever. Like maybe there's drifting in Maine, but you know what I mean? But like for the most part, like it's all over the United States. So if you live in whatever state, there's probably a drifting organization there, and there's probably like some cool events that are going on there. And then you have like the really cool big events, like Grid Life is awesome. Like we've been to a couple of those out in Colorado.
I need to go to one.
It's so fun, dude. It's so cool. And Nick Swan, I mean, he's a big part of that, obviously. But they're cool events. Yeah. And there's been like a lot of little like I don't want to say spin-off events of Grid Life, but similar events now, like Fuel Fest. It's the same thing, like music festival with drifting and stuff. And there's like Slush Motorsports That's like kind of, I think, more of a Colorado thing. But
we just had a Slush Motorsports here.
Oh, really? Okay.
At NSF.
Yeah. So similar, but everybody,
That's the first time I had ever actually kind of heard of them.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. They're pretty new. But similar to Grid Life in that they're bridging music and drifting, which is really cool. I think it makes a lot of sense, you know? So yeah, it's cool the direction that drifting is going now, because it used to just be like Formula Drift,
So what is something that's happening now that you wish would change for the future in drifting?
Professional drift cars coming down in power. like 1,000 horsepower is cool, but dude, like you don't really, it's super unnecessary. And like as a driver too, like getting smoked out sucks. Like when you're following somebody and then you're like, cool, I can't see shit. Like, you know what I mean?
It's horrible.
So, and I get like with however much wheel speed, you're going to have more smoke, but if like, I want to see more comps that are, I guess not necessarily like have a horsepower cap, but that are geared towards cars with, 400-ish horsepower, 500-ish horsepower. Cause that's all you need. Like once you get over 500 horse, like why,
Yeah. I would like, if, I don't know how realistic this would even be, but having horsepower caps per level.
Yeah.
So like Pro 1, shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
If you
1,000 horsepower.
Like
cool.
completely run yourself out and like screw yourself with too much horsepower. Go for it. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then like Pro Spec, you've got, let's say 650 cap.
Yeah.
And then Pro Am, you've got 500 cap.
Yeah.
Like that just seems right. Like we're regulating the tires, which is cool. But like, if you regulate weight versus horsepower, I feel like that would work better than just
tires.
Tire.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can make a lot of adjadjustments if you're just regulating tire.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. There's got to be a little bit more structure to it somehow.
Yeah, and it's just different classes, I think. But like with drifting, like it's watching two 400 horsepower cars go at it. To me, is just as entertaining as watching 2,000 horsepower cars go at it. Like the difference really is just like more smoke and like maybe a little more speed, but depending on the track, not so much. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I think Formula Drift has its place, and there are people that really enjoy seeing these crazy machines with 1,000 horsepower do their thing. But yeah, I would like to see more competitive drift events with lower horsepower cars. Just because it's just as entertaining.
Yeah.
But as a driver, like you're not getting smoked out. You're not, blowing through a set of tires on one lap. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But that's just me. I'm old school, man. Like you know what I mean? Like I was drifting in like a 150 horsepower KA car and like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So.
We didn't hardly know what angle kits even were.
No, there was no angle kits. It was rough back in the day, dude.
Simpler times.
So, yeah, keep it simple.
So how many, if you could take a wild guess on how many people you think you've introduced yourself to drifting?
Oh, not that many. I don't know, man. Well, I mean, just with the school or like in my whole life? Like,
let's say with the school.
With the school, 50 or so, maybe more.
You say that's not a lot. That's more than the average person would ever be able to influence.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
And like I said, like we're growing. It's definitely a lot of the stuff that we post on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. I think especially in our like relatively small town, we're catching a lot of eyeballs for sure. And people are a lot of people just want to come out and watch, to be honest. Like there's a lot of car guys in St. George
because that's not a very common thing.
Yeah. And it's like I said, seeing it in person is a whole different thing than watching a video online. Like when you're standing there and the car comes at you sideways 60 miles an hour, you're like, oh, this is nuts. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys that come to our clinic days are like, whoa. This is cool.
When you first started hosting them, what were some of the mistakes you made? Some stuff you had to change to kind of make things run a little smoother?
Just learning how to instruct people. you know, because it's easy to say like, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. And so I have another instructor. His name's Dom. He's been driving for about the same amount of time as I have. He has an RB20 S13.
Fucking tight.
Yeah, it's a cool car.
Yeah.
And so he helps a lot too, because he's very, he's more like analytical. And so the way he explains things sometimes clicks with different people. So like, you know, like for example, like I'll just be like, dude, like you're coming out of the corner, you need to mash on the throttle or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'll come out and say, hey, in this section, you need to give it 30% more throttle. In this section, you need 50% more throttle. And so some things, you know, people learn different ways. So some things he says will click better with certain people. So having him around is cool too. But yeah, learning to instruct people on how to kind of break down the building blocks of drifting was difficult at first. But I think we're doing pretty well with it now.
Going in a year, so you got to be doing something.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
So.
And like I said, it's like really we just start with the basics. We teach you how to do a donut, like a complete controlled donut. Yeah. And then we move on to a figure eight, which just teaches you how to transition. And then we'll do J turns. And once you can do like a J turn into a donut into a figure eight, like that's pretty much like you got it, you know.
Yeah.
And then we move on to how to actually initiate into a corner, carry the drift throughout the corner, you know, and keep going.
Yeah.
So
just step it up from there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, so when someone comes up to you that doesn't have a car yet, has that ever happened?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So what are the main things you suggest for them to do when they get their car before they come to the track?
Normally people will say, what kind of car do I need? And for the most part, I tell them,
watch the podcast.
Yeah. For the most part, I tell them like anything that's rear wheel drive and manual and has a locking diff. So that can be 240s, Miatas. I recommend 350Zs a lot. I'm like, just go buy a 350Z because they're easy and they're pretty set up from the factory. Like you don't have to do much. If you get any of them except for the base model,
coilovers on it, the LSD. Weld the diff.
Yeah.
Take the bump stops out. If you've got the money, throw a hydro in.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
And so I recommend Z's a lot. But yeah, rear wheel drive manual. And then, yeah, it's basically what you just said. I said, you know, first thing you need to do is figure out the diff. If it's got an LSD, that's probably okay for a while.
No, I would say no in a Z. Go ahead and weld that.
Yeah.
The LSDs
not
and
very
Z's
reliable.
and G's they don't lock as well as you would expect.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
but they're weldable.
Just I don't think I've ever driven one with an LSD. I think all the ones I've driven have had a welded, but
yeah. Welded open if you can is
the
what I would suggest.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good to know. So yeah, I'll say, you know, suggest welded diff, coilovers, and a good seat for starters, you know.
Seats, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Because you don't want to be sliding around and stuff. But yeah, a lot of the students that have been coming have pretty well set up like little street. I tell them like, I'm jealous, dude. Like my car's crazy, you know. Like we
just
have
go sit in my car.
Like we have a
realize
student
how
that has
good
like,
you got it right now.
Yeah, he's got a BRZ that's like pretty much stock. He's got like exhaust, knuckles.
That's a car that still blows my mind seeing on track as a BRZ. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but they still seem way too new.
Yeah, yeah.
They seem too nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Which they're not.
But he's chilling, dude. He's like got ACs, like listening to the radio and like shredding, you know. And I'm like, dude, this thing is sweet, you know. So yeah, and again, like you don't really gotta do much. Weld the diff, throw some coilovers on it, and do some angle mods if you want. That's pretty much it.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, let's I guess we'll branch off into the best piece of advice you got for anyone just getting into drifting then. Or does that basically just cover it?
Come to our school. No.
Yeah. Plug yourself real quick.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, what we've been talking about, just get a car that's you know, rear wheel drive, manual, has a locking diff. And don't worry about, I think a lot of people getting into the sport worry about, like they see all the pros and like all these crazy YouTubers and like, you know, crazy built cars. And they think like, oh, I can't do that because I that costs a lot of money and I got to build a car like this. And you really don't have to, you don't need to build a crazy car. Like you can have a very simple car. And when you have a car that's simple and pretty OEM, the cost really goes down. Like Miatas like shred out there all day on the same set of tires and they have a blast. And same thing with like the BRZs and the FRSs and stuff. similar story. Like they don't eat through tires that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that the barrier to entry doesn't have to be so high.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think like I said, like, oh, that's costs a lot of money, which it does if you're at a certain level. You know, if you've got a crazy, 650 horsepower car, you're gonna spend a lot of money on tires. You're gonna break stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have to be like that. You can have fun in a pretty stock car for like a long time, and then if you want to build something crazy, do it, whatever. But
figure out how much work you want to do before, during,
well,
and while you're at the event.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like there's so many options now for like good chassis, like 350Zs, FRSs, BRZs, Miatas,
dude,
240s, and you can find them.
I'm more towards the S550
yeah, totally
than I
skipped
ever have
over,
been in my
totally
entire
skipped
life.
over Mustangs. Yeah, Mustangs, like there's so many cars now that are options for drifting that are like really good chassis, that like we got it good now, man. Like I said, like back in the day, there was like 3 chassis and no parts. And now there's like any chassis you want, and there's parts everywhere for them.
Oh, yeah.
Except FCs. Nobody makes anything for FCs.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh.
But yeah.
All right. Well, so.
Back at it.
Yeah, back at it. I wanted to bring this up. I had one of the subscribers send me this. It's I don't think he fully has a website or anything yet. But he makes these
nice.
Carbon fiber resin gear shifters. He like put my logo on it, but like it's not your normal carbon fiber weave. That's like just strips. Check it out.
Oh yeah,
it's not very weighted or anything, but like, and you can tell like the mold is a little off. Like
that's sweet though.
Definitely have to work on the mold, but like it's actually the weave of it's not weave. That's what keeps throwing me off.
It's like the forged carbon kind of look.
Yeah, it's like flakes of carbon fiber just
that's cool.
Dumped in a pile. It's really sick. And he's trying to, I guess, make these. The packaging was really good. You get your little like sunglass type.
Yeah, I'd rock it. That's super cool.
Yeah, I figured I'd show him off. His name is Suspect TV or Suspected _TV on Instagram. I don't know if he's going to be making a full-on website or anything where you can order these, but if you're interested in one, just hit him up on Instagram. But yeah, I just want to show that off because that was really cool. He sent it to me out of kindness.
I dig it. I like carbon fiber.
Should have looked good. I don't know if I even want to put it in the car, dude. I'm just like this. I want to put it on like a sim rig or something.
Yeah.
When I finally get a sim rig.
It'll get torn up.
Yeah.
In the car probably.
Or make it some type of display.
I'm a ricer at heart, though. I like carbon fiber stuff.
I mean, see, I'm weird about carbon fiber. I hate when people do like they wrap
trim and stuff.
Yeah, all of the skirts and shit are carbon fiber. I don't really like that.
I'm not a fan of that.
Tacky, but yeah, check them out if you want one of those. But let me get back to. So. Yeah, but that's all we got. So if you want to plug yourself for school or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. The drift school it's called Scoundrels Drift Clinic. And it's just that on Instagram, Scoundrels Drift Clinic. The team page is Team Scoundrels. My personal Instagram is FC Pilot, which I'll probably change, like we said. But
yeah.
And then shout out to all the students that have been coming. Thank you guys so much. We obviously couldn't do it without you guys. Shout out Dylan, Kyle, Jeff, Harris. I'm forgetting people, but those are the main boys. And all of our sponsors, Fortunato, Tire Streets, Vegas Drift, Drift Wrath, Max Boost Comic, Fantastic Voyages Unlimited. He's the guy that did our liveries. Nice. And yeah, I think that's all I got.
Hell yeah. Well, cool. I sure appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was cool. Sick. This is a super cool setup.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, if any of you guys want to come on, of course, don't forget you can email me. But that'll actually always be in the description. And of course, if you want to be on the pod or want to be the highlight of the outro, I'm twisting my words now. Hour and a half.
Twisted, bro.
But Yeah, if you want to be the highlight, don't forget you can make a reel and tag me in it. And one with the most likes gets the outro. But that's all we got. So hit the subscribe button and the bell notification and stick around because every Sunday we've got a new episode for you. So that's it for this one. See you next week. Peace.
Boom.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, dog.
Sure. Sick. Yeah.
Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no